So what did you do on that one? The first one went left,
Right.
and you said it was because you thought you came through too fast. And then what did you do differently there?
This one, I felt like I was trying to stay back a little bit, and I think I left the club face open.
A little too much, yeah. Okay.
Club face open.
Mm-hmm. So in your couple lessons or the information you've been working on, thinking through, has it been mostly backswing focused? Or what have you done? Because you said transition was kind of where it breaks down. Have you worked on something in that transition or the release through the ball or anything like that? Mostly just getting the structure of your backswing?
Somebody sent me a video of my swing recently, and it looked like I was like releasing here.
Okay.
And then trying to like make adjustments too late.
Yeah.
So one of the things I'm trying to work on is basically like coming down here. And then coming through.
Okay.
It's something that I've been trying to think about more in my swing.
Yeah. So just kind of talk through that a little bit. I think where we need to spend the time, the effort, is on releasing the club and impacting the ball. So I'm going to have you do an exercise for me. So just take this stick and then just hold it in your right hand only and pull it up and swish it through the air. Just right hand, just whip it through the air. Right, so that was a stiff-wristed whip. Let's get loose, whippy, flicky, pull it back and pop it. There you go. All right, so go back and stop in your backswing. All right, see how your arm's kind of out. Just let it bend, let it relax, and then whip it. Yeah, so just pull it back, whip it through, right? So this is a golf swing whip that you just did, a golf swing flick.
Okay.
Let's go over here because you're kind of thinking about it a little too much.
And I've always been stiff and mechanical. I will say that.
Yeah. Well, it's your thinking.
Okay.
So we have to kind of think a little less. Okay. All right, so come over here. All right, so the guys did a good job mowing down to here, but then they stopped. All right, I'm going to need you to mow further. Go ahead and whip through that rough as if you're just going to mow it down. Yeah, don't think golf swing.
Okay.
Think, oh crap, Craig needs me to mow his yard down. I'm just going to whip it down. Yeah, there you go. So then as you would do that, you would say, okay, well, to be efficient, you would probably whip one direction and then the other direction and the other direction. All right, so just think you're out in the jungle with a machete. Okay. Just don't think golf swing.
Okay.
Just mow it. There you go. All right. Now, can you hear and see the speed? None of it's coming out of your feet and your legs.
Right.
So that's the problem is going on over here. Everything in your hands and arms are too stiff, and you're trying to get all of your speed out of your legs and hips and stuff like that. So that's where your transition is off, is that you're supposed to be using your right hand, taking the club back and chucking it, and throwing it, whipping it, snapping it, using those kind of words, just like you're doing here. So do it again with the grass. Just pull it back and then whip it. Yeah. Now go back and stop on your backswing. See there? It's relaxed.
Right.
Little bend in the right arm, little set in the wrist so that you can fire it through. Right. Yeah, there you go. Now do it with your left hand. Right? So now right away, you got structural and stiff.
I did.
You thought, golf swing.
Okay.
Get my grip. Get my hand.
Right.
Stiffen my elbow.
Right.
Keep my left arm straight. If I said, all right, you got to clear this thing out in a couple hours,
right,
you wouldn't do any of that. There you go. In fact, you would figure out how to do a lefty snap.
Right.
So go back on the other way, or bend. Go back on the follow-through side, and just relax that arm, cock that wrist, and whip it this way. There. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. There. Yeah. Good. Now you can see how much stability you have to have.
Right.
Because you're like, oh, I got my left arm going all over the place. I've never done this before. what do I need to do to have some consistency? You kind of centered yourself and got your balance on your feet. Whereas when you were doing it right-handed, your right foot was coming through, your hips were turning, just because it was more natural. But the truth of it is, the more you move your feet and your hips, the less consistent you're going to be over here.
Okay.
Just like you found being a lefty weed whacker, right? You had to create stability so that your new lefty arm could have some consistency. So do that again. There you go. Good. Now switch back to the right hand, but leave your feet there. Yeah. There you go. So there's plenty of speed, and now consistency. You're hitting about the same place every time, mowing it down. Right? Now, just like a golf swing, there's an efficiency of letting the stick hit a bunch of grass. You're not picturing this one little leaf going, oh, I'm just going to hit that.
Right.
You're mowing everything on the way to that leaf.
Okay.
That's important for golf too, because if you get fixated on the ball, then what happens is you start going at the ball, instead of through the ball. So as you're weed whacking here, go ahead and do that again. It's perfectly okay for you to hit 5-6 feet worth of grass in one hit. And then in the golf swing, the ball's going to be maybe that weed.
Right.
But you're not going to aim at the weed. You're going to swish, and you're going to hit everything before and everything after the weed. Right. The good news is that your ball's not sitting down here in the deep rough. So you don't have to go through all of it. But if you hit enough balls at Glenwa, you hit them out in the native, you got to go through a bunch of stuff just to get there.
Right.
So when we get back up here on the grass and I give you your 7-iron back, that's what I want you to do, is swish it. So we'll start here. So now you're going to go 2 hands, and you're going to mow me some grass with a better tool. That's a better tool than this thing for mowing. All right, so pull it back, swish it through, and go both ways. There you go. There you go. And relax your arms, because you're going to tire yourself out being stiff-armed.
Yeah, and I can feel myself.
Feel the difference? Yeah. So what's happening is you're kind of falling a little bit into and it's normal, and I see it a lot. You're falling into the mindset of, if I do plan A back here with my backswing, if I do position A, B and C should take care of themselves.
Right.
But it's actually the opposite.
Right.
If you throw the club like you're doing back, forth, well, position B is your focal point.
Right.
Position A takes care of itself. Position C takes care of itself because you're focused on position B.
Right.
Which isn't a position, it's a pass-through position. It's an energy that you're using.
Okay.
So as you do that again, do it real kind of a little smoother. Soften your elbows, loosen up both elbows. There you go. All right, so there's stability in your feet, there's speed in your hands and arms, and then you're not focusing on like controlling stuff.
Right.
You're focusing on wielding that club head. So then we're going to go up here and we're going to just do the exact same thing. Because to me, your consistency of your strike has been very inconsistent because you haven't been focusing on this. Okay. You haven't been focusing on swishing it through this zone.
Right.
You've been focusing on this stagnant holding backswing position. So just with whatever energy you just put in there, let the ball get in the way of that. Okay. You're essentially mowing that ball down, not hitting it. Good. So now don't get rigid on me.
Okay.
Just keep it loose. Better. And we really have to soften that left elbow and that left arm. Because what happens on the follow through is it can't fold. Okay. So go back and stop. See how your right arm naturally folded? Your left arm is supposed to naturally fold too. Yeah. Okay. And you've been too stiff at address, which has caused your follow through to have this long stiff arm follow through. Over here when you were weed whacking, you didn't do that. Better. So there's just one place for the swish, and it's kind of through the bottom of the swing. Yeah. There you go, much better. So just pretend you're in the weeds. You're gonna mow a bunch of grass and the ball's gonna, there you go, much better. So it's kind of how this thing backfires for everybody.
Yeah.
We want consistent outcomes, so then we clamp down and we grip tight and we try to manhandle the club and we try to guide it and control it. Whereas if we really just kind of let the club do what it's supposed to do, right? So that's your footwork.
Right.
So pretend you're in the long grass and don't go like this and just leave your feet there. Don't even move them. Just swish your, there you go. Let's keep that foot flat on the ground. Put your feet closer together so you can't really use them. There you go. And then just pull it and swish it. See the difference? So what we did is we're replacing stiffness with mobility, and then we're flipping it over completely, because what you had was stiffness in your arms, which required your legs to be way more mobile. We're flipping it. We're saying, let's get mobile with the arms, but stable with the feet. Yeah, really good. See the efficiency there? You can do,
Feel the difference.
yeah, you can do what feels like 30% of a swing and it goes just as far, right? So here's how we take this now. Take the stick, take a stance. Just kind of put your feet together, just one hand. We're not going to hit the ball, so just do your right hand only, because that's your dominant hand. Pull it back, right? Just relax everything. Now just give me a little flick. How much effort was that? How much percentage of energy?
35.
Okay, so leave everything else feeling like it's doing nothing, but make that go 55 or 65. There you go. So do nothing again and go up to 75. There you go. So that's how I want you to think of when you're playing golf. So when you take this on the course, you've already got a stick you can swish.
Right.
So hold it this side up. Okay. Hold it in your right hand only at the club head end. Sorry. Yep.
Oh, sorry. This way?
Yep. And in here so that you're not yeah, there you go. Just relax, pull it back, give it a little flick. There you go. That's your new golf swing. It has to be this simple, because we already know you like to probably overthink it a little bit. Right? So when you step up, just keep your body kind of casual, relaxed. Pull it back. Give me 30%. Good. Now let's do 50%. Doesn't matter where it goes right now. Yep, nice and relaxed. Pull it back, give a little flick. There you go, good. Do 50%, like half energy. There you go. So where you play, where you should play, and where most people play is between 50 and 70%.
Okay.
When you drop below 50%, that's like short game, because you don't need to hit a wedge that far. But the most you really should feel like you're exerting is, around the 70% range. And now we're replacing where we're exerting. You're replacing the exertion into your hands and arms and getting it out of your feet. Because what happens is when your feet are quiet, your strike on the ball is way more consistent. When you're pushing and shifting and turning, your consistency is, compromised. Yeah, there you go. So see how it pushed a little to the right? Yeah. We're going to blame that left arm being a little stiff too long. Okay. Like we did with the stick swishing over here, you had to learn to fold the left arm up. That's okay. So do one arm swishes, left hand only. So flip the club over. Okay, go back and stop. See how stiff that is? Let it bend. And then swish it. And then let it bend. Bend. Yeah, elbow. So kind of keep your elbow kind of down. Yeah, there you go. Yep. See how much easier it is to actually swish the stick? Because when your arm's really stiff, it's kind of like robotic, and then there's no speed. So we got to loosen up that left elbow, and we got to let it kind of hinge, especially as you throw it through. Because as the right arm straightens, which is what it does in the throwing motion. When that right arm straightens, the left arm has to fold. Because then that way the club has a nice swing plane, nice pathway around your body. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, go easy 50% and let it fold. Yep. Good. So go back to the rough and think you're going to hit 4 feet before the ball, then the ball, and then 4 feet after. Because right now, whenever the ball goes right like that, you're going to the ball, which makes your swish late. Okay. So you have to swish a little sooner, mow down more grass on your way to the ball. Yeah, even more. Better, right? So here, I'll show you how this works. So we can hit a couple from the rough right here. So we'll get some juicy rough. Now, if it's down here and you just go straight at it, it's gonna squirt right. Okay. So you have to mow a foot of grass before you even get there. So do a practice swing. So your practice swing should show us that you're gonna mow 2 feet of rough, a foot before and a foot after. Yeah, that's better. See the difference? So there's a timing difference. So in order to hit the rough a foot before, you have to release the energy sooner.
Right.
So you know how earlier you said, well, this person showed me this picture and it looked like I was releasing the energy too early and scooping.
Right.
So you've been working on holding the angle. It's kind of backfired. So you've heard or read or been taught about lag and all that. It's more timing. Okay. When you hold on to stuff, which has kind of been your default bad stuff, holding tighter, gripping tighter, controlling more, guiding more. When you're doing that, your timing gets all messed up. So what's happening here, as you're taking this big swath of rough that's 2.5 feet long, you have to send the energy of the club out a little sooner, have it mow, and then exit. Right. Don't confuse that with casting or lack of power. Right. There's a lot of power. You're feeling it. It's more of the timing of that throw. Okay. Right? So go ahead and do a couple more practice swings. Really kind of sweep through there. There you go. So don't lag the club through that space, because the more you lag it, the more it goes at the ball. You have to mow everything before and after. So go ahead and hit this one. Don't try to hit it hard. Just mow through that space. Good. You mowed through. The ball was sitting so deep that you topped it a little. Sitting up a little bit better there. So mow it again all the way a foot before. Yeah, there you go. See the difference? Yeah. So now what happens is if you're mowing correctly, the club face has time to square up. Right. If you're lagging and then trying to pop it out just at the right time, the face doesn't have time to square up. There you go. So now we go back to the short grass. We don't have the penalty of all that resistance, but it's the same idea. Right. And because it's so short, let me see your club. Because it's so short, you're not actually going to hit any of this because it's so short. Right. But it's going to feel like you're hitting rough ball. Right. So you're going to allow for that to happen the same way. Yep, just topped it. Throwing through there was pretty good. Yep, throw it through that space. That was late. It was late because your body tried to help, and then the throw was, you didn't catch the rough before the ball. So keep your feet quiet. Just kind of work the throw. Yeah, keep those feet out of it. You might have heard that you're supposed to use your feet and your hips and all that. That's not what we want. Just keep them quiet. There you go. Right? Because what happens is for every little inch that your hips turn, it messes up the timing of all that. And you have plenty of strength and speed in your hands and arms. So we're going to use that to our advantage. There you go. So let me hit a couple shots. Why don't you film? So it's already rolling. So this is fully what I want you to buy into.
Okay.
Nothing.
Right.
There's plenty of golfers on the planet that are paraplegics, that are in a stand-up rider, or even hit out of a wheelchair. So the notion that you need ground reaction forces, hip turn, blah, 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 it's garbage.
Okay.
If you have all of this stuff first, and you add a little of this, it's okay.
Right.
But
it doesn't mean that you can't do this and then not have the arms
exactly.
be timed.
So what we got to learn is how to do that. See how my arm's softer here?
Yeah.
We got to learn how to do that, and then maybe a year later add the legs.
Okay.
So I'll do one more. So loose, right here, loose, throw it, finish here.
Okay.
And then if you want to look better for your buddies.
All right. Fair.
Right?
Yep. Okay.
So what percentage energy did it look like I was putting in there?
The max 50.
Right? So you saw, what you saw was club head speed that you would think was close to 50, but it really looked like 5,
Yeah.
You know? So that's what I want you to do. So I want you to have some zip with the hands, but as far as the big muscles, hips, shoulders, everything else, let's keep it very low. Yeah, nice. So if you look at what outcome you got for the input you put in,
Right.
That's pretty efficient.
Yeah. And it didn't, I mean, that was probably 30%.
Yeah, so keep it 30 and just figure out how to do it all with that. So good. Yep. Yep, so you can kind of get loose in the arms, waggle, kind of pull it back. All right, so now if you miss the contact, little clunky and a little right, you were late.
Okay.
So you got to get the club head to kind of mow the rough down a little bit before it gets to the ball. There you go. So you changed it. Now if you're early with this thing, you'll chunk it a little and it'll go a little left. But we haven't really got any of those yet, so try to be earlier. Pretty efficient.
Yeah.
Because it looks like 5 to 10% of energy, but you're getting like 80% of your yardage. There you go. And we're more consistent. So, how far does a 7-iron usually go for you in Park City? Do you know? Not yet.
No, probably. I mean,
What about sea level? Yeah.
Like 160.
Okay, 160. So we add another 16 to that.
Right.
176. So go ahead and make a nice easy swing here. 30% effort. Good. Yep. So now let's increase, but without doing it with the legs. We want to increase the effort, the throwing with the hands and arms, but not with the legs. Yeah, there you go. Good. Yep. All right, so if we're getting a little fade, a little late. Because then in this throw, so do your setup. So look at it from this perspective, right? So you're going through here. As you're throwing, if you're throwing it into this space here, it has all this time to kind of square up and even kind of turn that way a little bit. But if you wait, it's lagging in, and then you're like, try to play catch up. So it's really in the wrist, and especially in the right hand, will give you the ability to tip that club a little sooner. Closer, you just thinned it. So swing back and stop. Kind of look back here at me. Just take your wrist and do that. That's what gets the club going sooner. So it's relative to your body. So if you started turning your shoulders first, it's really hard to catch that up. Yeah, so see if you can go back and kind of give it a little toss with the right hand earlier. Mm-hmm. Yeah, see how it squares it up?
Yep.
Yeah.
You can feel it.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can, I call it like swooshing the curve, right? So right here in your swing, there's this curve.
Mm-hmm.
You swoosh the club through the curve, and as it kind of goes through, it picks up momentum. Because the science is that would be an angle. So we have an angular momentum. When you take a wrist hinge, you're creating an angle. When you release the angle, you create momentum with the angle. Right. So that's called angular momentum. Okay. So the trick is get the momentum out before impact.
I see. Versus trying to catch up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. You got it out right at the right time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go. See, you got a nice high draw on that one. Right. Yeah. So if you start getting the angle out, that gives the club face a chance to square up. Now, we can kind of mess with grip and face and stuff like that to produce a more consistent draw. There you go. That's pretty effortless there. Yeah. I mean, you just in case,
well, after our lesson tomorrow, I'm actually going out. So
yeah,
if a swing like that,
mm-hmm.
how should I recalibrate?
Right. So you just hit that 150 yards with how much effort? Little. Yeah, 30. Okay. So what I would do is I would say practice today and tomorrow on this. Right. And then if you start getting nice collisions like that, you can go from 30 to 40 to 50 to 60. Right. But what you'll learn is as you increase energy, it's only valuable if you time it up. Right. If you're all of a sudden go to 70%, but you're not timing it, well, you're going to lose all the distance you gained anyway. So you might say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to swing at 30% and hit 150 yard 7-irons. Yeah, there you go. So now grab your driver, because we're going to do the same thing with the driver. So think about the length of the driver relative to our rough over here. So let's bring that club over here. So let's say you stood in the same spot with every club, and you stood here with your toes at that point. Okay. Right? So stretch out into the rough. Now, with a driver, you're going to hit so much rough. Right. Right? So because it's a longer club, you're actually going to connect way back here, boom, 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 all the way through. Right. Now shorten your driver. Keep going way short, way short, way short. Mm-hmm. Now it's in here. Mm-hmm. Well, now you're only going to connect with a smaller amount of rough. Gotcha. So that's the timing of the throw. Okay. The longer the club, the sooner you have to get that club out onto its track. Okay. So if I'm here, the sooner I have to throw? Exactly. Because it takes more time for you to catch it up. Okay. Right? So we don't have to hit your driver out of the rough. But I wanted to show you that visual so that when you're back here getting ready to hit a driver, it's kind of similar and different. So if I had the stick here and I turned to my backswing, well, an iron, number one, is going to be a little bit more vertical. So the throwing is going to be more here. The driver, because it wraps around behind me, is not only going to be flatter, it's going to be deeper behind. So then the throw is flatter and sooner versus more vertical and a fraction later. The shorter the club, the easier it is to catch it up in that little 2-foot space. Make sense? Yeah. I do a trick shot show and I have a 7-foot long driver. So it's from me to you. Well, when I get wound up back here, I have to throw that thing behind me so that by the time it gets there, it's square. Okay. So it's back, throw. Yeah. Yeah. And so the throw, what you're going to find now, throw one, throw it and let it go all the way through. So the throw pulls you to finish. Right. Feel the difference? Versus what you would have done before, you would have had a stiff left arm, you would have gone back, you would have spun your hips first, and then you would have dragged the club, but this is the opposite. So once you pull it back, throw it, and then the throw brings you around. So try one that easy, because that didn't look like much effort. Yeah, got it around. It was a little thin, so you just topped it, but I think the actual throw was pretty good. Yep, so go easy, like 5 to 10% again. Turn, and then give it a little throw. There you go. Now you caught that one in the heel, which tells me your setup distance from the ball. You might have been a little close. Yeah, just feel like your arms are extended at address. Yep, there. Yeah, really good. So you can see how this starts to really, accuracy is completely tied to timing. Now you know how to fix it.
Like out of play, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, so really soften up that left arm and go back and stop on this one. All right, so back here where the stick is, you should feel like you're kind of throwing it behind you so that it has way more time to catch up. Go easy. I just hit it off the heel. Yep, so again, you might have been a little close to it, because now what's happening that you're throwing, centrifugal force is elongating your arms. So because you're throwing it, now your arms are getting longer. So when you do a setup, I'll show you your setup distance. So put the club in behind there. This is all pretty relaxed. If you actually throw, your arms are probably going to go to there.
Okay.
So you have to scoot back. Yeah, start it in the toe. Go back. Give a little throw out through the ball, and let's see if that's about right. Yeah, see, that was sweet spot. Yeah. And now that you're throwing, and you're throwing on this, you're mowing down grass on the way, now your setup distance is going to have to change so that it lengthens through the ball. Yeah, really good. Yeah. So you got a little tiny fade. So we go, do we throw earlier?
Right.
Probably.
Yeah. And I think I did throw late on that one.
Fraction. Yeah. And it was a fraction of a fade. So let's see if you do throw sooner and you keep your feet really quiet, because we talked earlier, you can do this with your feet, and then all of a sudden your feet mess you up. Okay.